Good morning. Welcome to another edition of Coffee with Tea. I'm your host, the amazing T Street. Today's topic is one that's personal. My mug today says, be strong, be bold, be true, believe. It's a 31. Yeah, it's a 31 cup. So, anyway, today's topic is one that I want to cover. And in real transparency, I wish I had covered it on Friday in preparation for what would turn out for many people to be a long and painful weekend. But such is life. I did not cover this topic on Friday, but can I tell you, I don't care what day I cover it on, it's relevant for someone. Today's topic: living well beyond the grief of death. Now, some of y'all gonna log off because you don't want to talk about this, but I'm gonna talk about it because yesterday it was very real for me. It was very, very real for me. Good morning, Val. It was very real for me. This topic of grief, moving beyond and living well beyond the grief of death, because yesterday was Mother's Day, but it was also my mother's birthday. So yesterday I woke up feeling heavy, and I had what I felt like, good morning, Alana, was a double whammy. But I decided that I was going to walk through and work through this grief process yesterday. But I also was going to share it with all of my friends who at some point will grieve. If we live long enough, all of us will have the opportunity to sit on the front row of somebody's mourning bench in somebody's place of worship. Grief, ooh, grief is, I posted a few weeks ago, I'm like, dear grief, in case nobody told you, you're ghetto. Oh my God, grief is one of the most ghetto experiences that I've ever had. Good morning, Jackie. But I just want to talk to us about the ability for us not just to live beyond grief, but to live well beyond the grief of death. So the first thing we're going to jump into is an acknowledgement. Let's acknowledge that grief deserves space, but it shouldn't get the whole house. If yourself is a house, grief deserves a room. It does, but it does not deserve to take over the whole house. And some of us, because we won't process and we won't go through the process of grief, we allow grief to consume the entirety of our being. Okay, so we're gonna walk through it. Good morning, Lori. We're gonna walk through this topic today. When someone dies, grief has a way of showing up, y'all. It shows up uninvited. If you've not experienced it, when you do, you're going to be like, T talked about this. It sits at the dinner table. It rides in the car with you. It sneaks into songs. Since y'all passed out in Macy's about 3 months after my mama passed, I fell out and had a whole fetal position kind of mourning process because someone walked past me and they were wearing the scent of Chanel, and it smelled like my mother. So it shows up in scents. It shows up in holidays and birthdays, y'all. It shows up on random Tuesdays. And the truth is, you cannot heal from what you refuse to feel. Too many people try to be strong and strong their way through sorrow. They say things like, I'm good, while carrying a heart full of hurt. But healing begins when honesty enters the room. Crying, y'all, is not weakness. Missing them is not weakness. Yesterday, I was missing my mother. Having hard days, y'all, it's not weakness. Grief is love with nowhere to go. That's what grief is. But here's the key: grief deserves a room in your life, not ownership of your entire life, but a room. Some people unintentionally build permanent houses around temporary pain. They stop laughing, they stop traveling, they stop dreaming, they stop living. The person they lost would probably be heartbroken knowing that they disappeared too. You can mourn deeply and still live fully. I learned that in therapy, y'all. You can mourn deeply and still live fully. How? Talk about your grief instead of hiding it. Give yourself permission to have good days again. That one was hard for me. Stop apologizing for healing, because healing is not betrayal. Healing is not evidence that you didn't care. Healing is evidence that life is still moving. Number two, honor their life by continuing yours. I tell people all the time, every day, I try to live in a way that honors mother was. Every single day. I see you, Lori. Yep, yesterday was rough for me too. I will acknowledge that. One of the greatest ways to honor people that we've lost is not just by remembering them, but by living in a way that makes their impact continue. Some people left us recipes. Yesterday, I made my mama's pound cake for my family. Some people leave wisdom. I share it with y'all all the time. I was like, my mom told me this. Some people leave their traditions. Some people leave lessons. Some people leave warnings. Some leave love. Don't let what they poured into you die with them. If they taught you kindness, be kind. If they taught you resilience, keep pushing. If they sacrificed for your future, don't waste your future sitting in permanent sorrow. There comes a moment when grief asks a hard question. Are you going to spend the rest of your life at the cemetery of what was, or are you going to build something beautiful with what remains? Yeah, that's a hard question. And listen, not every day will be easy. Some mornings will still hurt. Yesterday morning, if I'm honest, it hurt. Some anniversaries will sting. Her birthday on Mother's Day, y'all, it stung. But living well beyond grief means choosing purpose even while you're carrying pain. Start something meaningful in their honor. I started a scholarship in my mother's name. Share stories. They keep their legacy alive. This weekend, went to watch my nieces run track and play softball, and shared stories about grandma with them. Use your life as proof that love outlives loss. Because death, it may end a life, but it does not have to end the impact that their life had. Number 3, you are still allowed to experience joy. Sometimes when people leave us, we feel guilty for the fact that we have days, not just of happiness, but of joy. One of the strangest things about grief is that sometimes people feel guilty for laughing again. You'll catch yourself smiling at dinner, enjoying a vacation, I don't know, having a peaceful moment, and suddenly grief whispers, how dare you feel joy when they're gone? I remember those early days. But hear me clearly. Joy is not disrespectful to the dead, y'all. In fact, joy is often part of the healing that God gives the living. You don't dishonor people by continuing to smile. You dishonor life when you stop living altogether, y'all. The people who loved you, they wouldn't want your life to become a permanent funeral procession. They would want you to love again, to dream again, to dance again, to travel again, to live again. And sometimes the strongest thing you can do after loss is choose to keep showing up for life, even with tears in your eyes. Allow yourself to create new memories. Reconnect with things that make your soul feel alive. Stop waiting to get over it before you start living again, because you may never fully get over grief, but you can absolutely grow beyond it. Living well beyond the grief of death, it doesn't mean forgetting people. It means refusing to let death bury the living too. Yep, cry. Yep, remember. Yep, grieve. But also live, laugh, love, build, serve, dream. Because while death may have taken someone from your presence, it does not have to take your purpose. I don't know if somebody needed this morning, but I hope that it was healing for you. I hope that it was healing for you, because as I went through yesterday, one of the greatest comforts that I had is one, knowing that my mother was not just in a better place, she was with her king. She was with her king. But while I'm here, what I always try to do is I try to live a life, one that always pleases God. Sometimes I fall short, but certainly as a reflection of all of who my mother was, because the best parts of who I am shows up because of who she was. The best parts of me came from my mother. And so the way that I honor her, y'all, is the 3 things. I understand that grief deserves a space, but it doesn't get my whole house. I honor my mother's life by continuing mine. which she would have wanted. And I realize that I'm still allowed to experience joy and that does not dishonor your loved one who's gone. I'm the Amazing T Street. I hope this message was meaningful to you today because I know how hard it is to walk through the hard times of life and to feel that kind of grief and have no place to go with it. I see that there are people on here today who needed these words because yesterday, for those of us who live with our loved ones here physically, it's hard. Yesterday was a hard day. Mother's Day and birthday on the same day. I'd be lying if I told y'all that it was just an easy day. It was a very hard day. But in the midst of it all, we were just finding new ways to honor her, to honor her memory. We got together, took my aunt, my 97-year-old aunt, out of the nursing home, brought her to my sister's. My dad grilled out for us. We had a good Mother's Day. And in spite of it all, grief didn't get to rob us of that day. I'm the Amazing T Street. There's absolutely positively nothing amazing in me that's not in each and every one of you. So today, choose to live well beyond the grief of death. Have an amazing, amazing day, y'all.